of breaking into someone's house to steal. Apparently, years ago, one of the ways that people broke into other people's homes, the floors were not the way we have floors today. So it was just earth. So they would go outside of the house in the backyard, I guess, dig a hole under the ground, make a tunnel, and then pop out from inside the house. And they were in the house. That's how they got into the house. So this this idea of tunnels is not new. It's an old way of doing things. Actually, it's in the Chumash. In the Chumash, it says that someone's coming into your house through a tunnel. So that was the way they did it. So the Gemara says there's a possibility of a thief standing at the opening of the tunnel, ready to do what he wants to do, and he davens to Hashem and says, "Hashem, please help me." So Chassidus use that as an example where a person has the information. In other words, does he believe in Hashem or not? If he believes in Hashem, why are you stealing? You don't believe in Hashem, why are you davening? That means that the information is there, but it's really not penetrating. So he has the knowledge, but it doesn't penetrate to the point of impacting him to change his life. So das usually comes from seeing. When you see something, then it really penetrates and really becomes part of you. However, what about Hashem, who we can't see? Nevertheless, when a person goes through in the Soyan, he has something in him that's so powerful that helps him recognize an Hashem in a new way, in a way with Das. But what's the connection? Why does the Nisayan do that? So he goes on to explain that the Nisayan has to have a godly spark in it. Otherwise, it couldn't be. Nothing can exist outside of Hashem. So everything that exists is from Hashem and has Hashem's energy and Hashem's light invested in it. But the difference is, in some places it's revealed, in some places it's concealed, in some places it's so concealed, it's as if it doesn't exist whatsoever. There's no trace of it whatsoever. So those things that are considered treif, for example, which means you can't elevate it, you can't make a bracha on it, those are things that the godliness in it is totally concealed. And the same with the Nisayan, the godly spark that gives life to it, even though it's there and gives life to it, if it wasn't there, whatever it is that's blocking me would disappear in a second. But it's so hidden, it's so concealed that you don't see the godliness in that all, and you can't connect it. And by me passing the test, I'm revealing the godly spark in it. This part I didn't explain. I'll explain it briefly, but later we're going to learn something inside that is more, elaborates more on it. How do I reveal the godly spark? Because when I recognize that the purpose of whatever it is, let's say there's a person that's stopping me from learning Torah, doing mitzvahs, or there's circumstances that are stopping me from learning Torah, doing mitzvahs. The normal way we understand it is I want to do what Hashem wants, and this person is trying to block me. This circumstances are trying to block me. I made up my mind that I'm going to go to shul and daven every day, and now there's a storm and I can't go outside of it. I think I can't go outside. And I'm struggling. Should I go? Should I not go? So there's something here that's blocking me. Or a person is blocking me, trying to convince me not to do a mitzvah. The truth is, no, it's Hashem himself that's doing it. But why is he doing it? Not because he wants to stop me from going to shul, because he wants me to overcome this test and do what I have to do. So in a sense, when I do overcome the test, what I'm doing is I'm actually revealing that there's really godliness in this thing that's blocking me. So I'm revealing the godly spark. So what I'm saying? It's not like I go, ooh, and the godly spark reveals itself. It's the idea that I'm acting in a way which demonstrates that I believe that this is all from Hashem, and it's not a real, true thing that's blocking me, and Hashem wants me to overcome it. That's the whole purpose. So that means I'm revealing its true identity. And once it becomes revealed in my head, in my approach, then Hashem makes it revealed in reality. But when it gets revealed, it gets connected to its original source, which is the world of Torah, which is much higher. So now we've turned the page, and after explaining this idea that the spark that's in the Sayan, yes.
So all the sparks in like Nisayan, they are sourced in Torah?
All the sparks in the physical world, their sources in Torah. Everything.
Oh.
What did you ask? All the sparks in.
Yeah, no, I asked that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to understand what you mean by where the sparks are. If the challenge is like circumstantial in the way it's people are acting towards you or like things that are not happening, where is the spark in the way they act?
Let's say a person makes fun of a mitzvah that I'm doing. So at that moment, that person and the words that are coming out of his mouth, that's the where the spark is. It's on top of the page. Use an example, the words of Hashem that's in the food. Now I underline this because this is actually from a pasuk. It's a pasuk in the Chumash. Let's take a look here, page 26, where in the pasuk it says these words. And of course, there's two ways to understand it. So here, the Rebbe explains it according to Chassidus. You look at the top of the page, 26, it says like this, a person doesn't live by bread alone. It's not just bread, but the entire expression of Hashem's word, that's what makes a man live. In other words, don't think that it's bread that makes you live, or food that makes you live. It's Hashem that makes you live. That's a simple meaning. So that Rizal says there's a deeper meaning to these words. And it means, don't think that the bread, the physical bread, and even everything nutritional that's in the bread is what makes you live. No, there's a spark of godliness in the bread. And that spark of godliness, that's what makes me live. So in a sense, look at the piece of bread like a capsule. When you take a capsule, there's some powder inside. The capsule is a piece of plastic. You swallow it. And whoever doesn't understand thinks that this is the medicine, but no, it's just a container. In this capsule, there's some sort of a power, which is really the medicine. Same here. The bread, in a sense, is just a capsule. And even everything nutritional that's in the bread is also a capsule. What's the real source of life is the godly spark in the food. So the Arizal asks, if that's the case, why do I have to eat food, have a godly spark in me? In my body. So what do I need to eat the food and get the godly spark out of the food, the bread or the meat? I have a godly spark in me already. So the reason answers because the godly spark in food is actually from a higher source than the godly spark in me. Because it came down lower. Here, like the godly, again, in the pasuk, it doesn't say godly spark. The Arizal explains it that way. Because literally the words in the pasuk is what comes from the mouth of Hashem. So normally people interpret it, Hashem's, with his mouth, ruled that this person should have food, this person should live. It says, is the godly spark in the food? Shemachayas Adam. And why do I need it? Because its roots, the spiritual root and source of the food, and that spark is much higher. But this godly spark that's hidden in the Nesayan is Sharsha Gavoya. Its roots are higher. It's even higher than the godly spark that's in the food. So the godly spark that's in the food is higher than the godly spark in a person because it's lower. So if it fell lower, it came from a higher place on that wall, so to speak. A godly spark in a Nesayan is even higher than the godly spark in the food. Why? Again, because a Nesayan is lower than the fact that godliness is concealed in an apple or in an orange or in bread or in meat. It's in a passive way. There's no godliness that's concealed. A Nesayan is something which is aggressively fighting my connection to Hashem. Like I said before, someone who's stopping me from doing a mitzvah, or some sort of a passion or a burning desire to do an avera. So there's something that's pulling me in the direction that goes against Hashem. So therefore, because it's more aggressive in its concealment, that means it's lower. If it's lower, then the source is higher. As it's known, from the subject of the face of the lion and the face of the ox. What is that? You ever had this before in Chassidus? The face of the lion, the face of the ox. Anybody? No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
What is it?
So the chariot
Chariot, right?
and
Yecheskel. So there's a prophecy, prophetic vision that's described in the Navi, and everything is in a metaphoric way, where he says he saw the chariot, and on the chariot there was a throne, and on the throne there was a person, and the chariot was being drawn by different forces, and one of them was the face of an ox, and one was the face of a lion, one was the face of an eagle, and one was the face of a person. And there's tons and tons of Kabbalah written about this chariot. What does it mean? What does it represent? And very often it's brought down in Chassidus as well. Generally speaking, it's referring to angels, not real. There's no lions up there, and there's no oxes up there, and there's no eagles up there. But what the reason why we refer to a certain angel as the face of a lion, on the surface you would say, well, because there's something about it that resembles a lion, but it's deeper than that. It means it's the source of the line, the physical line that we see down here physically evolves from that spiritual place, which is called the lion. In fact, it says the lion is the king of all wildlife. That's why it's a lion. The ox is the king and the source of all, I guess, domestic or farm animals. And the eagle is the source and the king of all birds. And that's where the source comes from. So in the prophecy, he sees that the lion is on the right of Hashem and the ox is on the left of Hashem. So how come down here, the lion is a treif animal and the ox is a kosher animal? If the lion comes from the right side of Hashem, it should have been in a better place. And the ox comes from the left side of Hashem, it should be in a lower place. So the answer is no, because it's higher when it comes down here, it comes down as lower. And the ox, because it's lower up there, it comes down here as higher. So this is the principle. Yeah.
That's the source of where something from higher goes to something lower.
It's not the source of the whole subject, but that's one of the examples that's given. Yeah. Where's the original source from? I'm not sure. But definitely from the Arizal, that's one source, the one about the foods. That's definitely quoted very often as a source. Okay, so now we know another thing, that not only is the godly spark in a sight from a very high place, it's even higher than the godly spark in things that are already hidden, like food and gashmizik objects, animals, and so on and so forth. So by the way, according to this, what's higher, the godly spark in water or the godly spark in vegetables?
water.
And what's higher, the godly spark in vegetables or the godly spark in meat?
Vegetables.
Right, it just, everything is upside down. Welcome to the world of Chassidus. Now he says like this. So now that we know the godly spark is there, and not only that, but the godly spark in the sun is higher, comes from a higher source than the inanimate and then the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom and the human and even things that are not necessarily mitzvahs. Its source is higher because it's an asayin, it's against Hashem. And the second thing we learn is that when I stand up to the test, I'm revealing it. I'm reconnecting it to its original source. And the third point is that by me doing that, I'm benefiting because that light that's being revealed now penetrates my neshama. And now I have something now that I didn't have before. Which literally means go after Hashem, means follow him. Now the word achre means behind. Like when you follow a person, you're going behind them. That's how it is begashmis. This person's leading and you're following. So they're ahead of you and you're behind them. So the words are achre lof, go behind Hashem's back and follow him. So this is like there's another pasuk that says something similar. Moshcheni, Hashem pull me, acharecha narutza, and I will run after you. So what's the term acharecha, after you, behind you? So he says, Acharecha daika. The word daika is like the Hebrew word we always use as dafka. But in Aramaic, it's sometimes daika. Chin is acharayim, the back of Hashem. Like it says, Anechi haster aster panai, I hide my face. So this is the pasuk that's always quoted. It's a pasuk in Chumash, where Hashem is talking about the things that might happen to the Yidden, which are negative things. So it says these words, page 27, Vanechi haster aster panai b'yemahu. I will conceal my face on that day. And then Rashi says, doesn't mean that Hashem is not involved. Of course he's involved. It means I will act as if I'm not there. As if I'm not, that's what it means that it's hidden. I will act as if I don't see what you're going through. But really, Hashem is behind it, and he's doing everything. So when Hashem is hidden, that's what we're referring to when we say Hashem's back. The back is where you don't see the person's face. His face is hidden from you. You only see the back. A father who hides mibnai from his son, but the purpose is ben yirdif achrov, that the son should pursue him, v'yizgale chokmas haben, and through that the wisdom of the son will be revealed, v'daita chazaka, and a strong das, she'yovin, he'll understand, she'ahester ene amiti, that the concealment is not true, elorak b'chdei shivakshenu b'chepes mechupes. It's only because he wants him to search for him. And when he searches for him and he finds him, they'll both be very happy and both be very excited, because the father is not really abandoning his son, but he's only doing it in order to see the son's wisdom. So this is a mashal that's brought down. I think the one who originally gave this mashal was the Maggid Mezrich, but it's brought down by the Alter Rebbe, by the Mittel Rebbe, by the Tzemach Tzedek, by the Rebbe Marash. Every Rebbe Chabad in the Maimarim referred to this mashal. The Rebbe spoke about this mashal more than once. So because of that reason, I thought it would be a good idea to learn from a Maim, because most places it just says the same as here. It just makes reference to the famous mashal with the father and the son. So the one place that I found where it's not just mentioned, but it's actually elaborated on in detail is in the writings of the Mittel Rebbe, which is here in the book on page 28. And I think it's very important because this really gives us a clearer picture of what the purpose of a test is and what this mashal is all about. So naturally, this is the middle of something. It's a book written by the Mittel Rebbe called Ner Mitzvah V'Torah. And as another book, it's called The Gate of Amunah. But this is the introduction. And here, we'll start from the paragraph that says, Omei Ato. Ma'ato yesh lahavin, let's understand what it says. Hashem says to the Bnei Yisrael, these are words that are found in the prophets, but it's also found in davening on Rosh Hashanah, where Hashem says, I will always remember the kindness of your youth, or our youth, which is, Shalavad Koyach Amuna Shaminu L'Moshe B'Yeisim B'Mitzrayim. Besides the fact that Yidden had Amunah when they were in Mitzrayim, we know that when Moshe Rabbeinu came to take the Yidden out of Mitzrayim, not everybody believed in him. In fact, those who didn't believe were the ones who unfortunately were left behind. And that was during the plague of darkness. They didn't go out. All those passed away in Mitzrayim. So those that went out were those that believed. So besides the fact that Hashem is praising them for their belief in Moshe and their belief in Hashem's promise that they'll ultimately go out of Mitzrayim, there's another thing. Holchu achrei Hashem b'midbar. The other thing was that they trusted Hashem and they followed Hashem into a desert, Beretz lo yizrua, a land where there is nothing growing there. And that's what the pasuk says, Lechtech achrei b'midbar. That I remember the kindness of your youth, which means when Hashem and the Jewish people were sort of starting their relationship as husband and wife, and you trusted in me, and you went into a desert. Imagine, you're talking about, we know there were 600,000 Yidden, but that's not counting the men who were over the age of 60, those under the age of 20. It's not counting the women. And therefore, altogether, it says in the portion was about a few million people. Few million people going into a desert, how are they going to survive? They didn't know in advance that food will come down from Shemayim. How in the world were they thinking they're going to survive? And the answer was they weren't thinking. They just knew Hashem says to go into the desert. We trust that it's going to work out. So here there's an additional trust that they were following him into the desert. You and Zeh, to understand this, will do the mashal hayidua, the famous mashal. Ba'ab sheyesh le ben katan. Now, always remember that a mashal is never the perfect thing that you could understand because it's only a mashal in a certain detail. A mashal never means that it's exactly the same thing as the nimshal that we're comparing it to. But generally speaking, it brings out the same idea. So here there's a father, sheyesh ben katan yakar v'chaviv lo, has a young son that is very precious and very dear to him. He wants to test him with about two things. He wants to see. Number one, his wisdom, how smart he is. And the second thing is, and how loyal and devoted he is to the father, how loyal he is, how connected he is to him. If he's bound to his father with true, deep love. The Mesiris Nefesh Mamish. And how does he test him? If the father is always with him, the kiru, very close to each other, and everything the child asks for, noisily gives it to him. There's nothing novel about that, nothing new about that, nothing unique about that, that the child loves his father and he's loyal to him because he's right next to him. He's there all the time. He's giving him support. Whatever he asks for, he gives it to him. What does the father do? He hides. And he distances himself from his son. In a very, very hidden place. And the reason why he wants to do that, the child will be naturally upset that he can't find his father. Hate him and go search for him. Then the father will see where his heart is at in reality. And here we can see what's really going on inside the heart of the son. The chopsa hated if he really searches for him properly. So now he describes two scenarios: one son that has the qualities and one son that's lacking these qualities. This is the first son. The son looks for his father, searching for him. Where does he search for him? He searched for him b'chol drachim u'mesiles, in all the paths, all the roads. The son knows Shem Drachim or Mesilis Sheil ben Aviv. He knows his father's paths. Father goes for a walk here, and he goes to buy that over there, and then every day he goes to this and this place to work here. So he knows he goes down this path, this road. He goes and looks in all these paths and all these roads where his father usually goes. B'chol yom, v'lo yimtzena, anybody doesn't find him. Vada yetzeloi. So of course, he's very pained by that. The Yivke Tamid, and he'll cry, Asher Nitel Mimenu Aviv, that his father, Me'er Eina V'chayer Reisha, his source of life and his light is no longer there. V'tamid V'mistarim Tifke Nafshe, he will be crying all the time. Bilti Tisnachim, he'll be inconsolable. At Shaiva, but then will come a time that he's going to say, Noyash, I give up. Apparently, I won't see my father again. Again, this is a mushal, but basically what's happening is the child is coming to the conclusion that my father, I guess, abandoned me. He decided to abandon me. And as time goes on, once he gave up that he'll never find his father, the its sadness that he feels will be sort of fading away, cooling off. V'yishkach melibei ma'at ma'at, and slowly he'll start forgetting about this connection that he has with his father. Achi Yisrashel lechapes es oviv legamri, to the point that he even stops completely looking about him, thinking about that's going to happen. Pesik malifkes, he stops crying. What happens as a result of this? Nifsik chevel his kashrus, the rope that connects him and his father has been cut off, because now he is not any longer, he's not yearning for him, he's not looking out for him, he's not searching for him, because he decided that it looks like he was abandoned, and now he'll go on with his life. But this is really a result of two things. These are the two things he mentioned before. The father was testing the child, which are ha'alav. The first thing is miut das hatinik. It is because of the lack of intelligence of this young child. Shedaita ktsara, he doesn't understand and doesn't recognize. By the way, just to think of it in a small scale, parents a lot of times play with their children, which means they'll hide. That's the typical universal game, peekaboo. You hide, child is to find you. So what happens if the parent hides and the child starts crying? This children that start crying and still start laughing. Those that laugh understand this is a game, so they're looking for you. Those that are crying fear that you went away. This is what he's talking about. This child feels that his father abandoned him. That means he doesn't get it, that this is just sort of a something that I'm doing to enhance our relationship, not abandoning you. And the second thing is, so he doesn't realize that when the father is hiding, it's not real. It's not really means to hide from him. Let's turn the page. And the fact that he's distancing himself, it's not really true. The father really plans to come back and be close to him. And the father didn't distance himself because he hates me, he doesn't like me, but because he wants to test me and see if I understand that I'm smart enough to understand that he is just playing with me. And the second thing that the father recognized in this child, the fact that he gives up, and he just concludes his father abandoned him, that's a sign that in his heart, his connection is not that strong of a connection. Why? Because if we would really be connected heart to heart in a strong way, she would never give up, because his heart would feel that his father's heart is still loyal and connected to him. In other words, one is intellectual and one is in the heart. Intellectual means just understand that this my father is just sort of playing with me, trying to test me. And the other one is something deeper, feeling that I feel that he's still connected to me, and therefore he would never give up. The fact that this one does give up means that he's lacking in his understanding. He's also lacking in that deep feeling of loyalty and connection. So now he starts describing the second kind of scenario. What can happen if things were the way they should be? Now there's one word here. It's an acronym. Hey, Pei, Aleph, Pei. But it's a pasuk that's brought up very often in Chassidus. In fact, there's a chapter in Tanya, chapter 46, that elaborates on it, where it says, Kamayim haponim el haponim, kin lev ha'odam el ha'odam, which means just like water reflects a face, that's how one heart reflects another heart. What does that mean? That just like when you look into the water, what do you see? You see your own face. And what do you look like? What do you see in the water? You see whatever you're showing. If you have a smiling face, guess what? You'll see a smiling face in the water. If you have a sour face, you'll see a sour face in the water. That's how one heart reflects another heart, which means that regarding the emotion of love, that if I have love for another person, then naturally it'll be reflected in the other person's heart. Of course, the other person could, if we know stories that one person loves the other person and they don't return that love, we can always stop ourselves. But the natural reflex of a heart is when I feel that someone loves me to feel good towards that person. That's the natural reflex of the heart. So the same applies to us and Hashem. And that's what he's saying here, that if he would have the real, true feeling in his heart, he would feel in his heart that a father loves him, and it would be reflected in his heart. And the fact that it doesn't means there's something lacking on that level as well. So I'm going to start now before he starts describing the other one. So that's the line that begins with the word Elov. If you're following me, I don't know if you're following me. 2, 4, 6, 8 lines from the top. Elov is the first word on the line. Zehu ben Chacham, now he describes the child, which is a Chacham, wise. The Nemon b'chol libay, and also in his heart, he is completely and totally connected. Shemaskil al dvar ha'ester, he understands that the concealment, that his father is hiding himself, it's not true. The guy he'll do the same thing the other child did. He'll be looking for him and searching for him in Ochol Darkei. He'll be searching in all the paths and all the roads. And if he doesn't find him, he's not going to be crying. He won't cry and say, I give up. Adrabah, on the contrary, he won't stop searching for him. And he will be searching in all those roads and all those paths of the father. In other words, he'll be following his father's footsteps. He knows his father goes in this direction, he'll look in that direction. Sometimes he goes in another direction, he'll go in that direction. He goes to all the places where his father used to be found and think, maybe I'll find him there. If he doesn't see him there, he'll still be in a happy place. He won't give up and won't feel abandonment because he's absolutely confident. I'm going into my father's paths. I'm going to find him. Ultimately, at somewhere, someplace, we're going to meet up. And even if he sees it from the distance, he doesn't see the father's face because he's not close up to him. He'll go from the distance. He'll be excited about the fact that he sees him from the distance, as if he's seeing him close by, because he knows that this is the father's path. And he also knows that the father is only testing him and not really, again, in the mushal, you would try to think, why would a father be doing all this? It's only a mushal. And he's going to run faster than he can be able to see his father. First he sees him from the back, and then he's hoping to be able to meet up to him face to face. When the father sees from his hiding place, when the father sees that the son does not give up, and he continues to search for him, and he looks for him in all these paths, even when he only can see him from his back, he doesn't give up. He sees how loyal he is and how much love he has for him, that even in this darkness, and even if he doesn't see him, he still doesn't give up. So then, what's the result of that? That the father's love for the child is now so much more than it was before. And when the father and the son finally do, what happens, the father goes out of his hiding place. When he goes out of his hiding place and they meet, the love for each other and the joy that they're together again is so much greater than before. It reminds me of the story with the Mezritch Magid, that Mezritch Magid had a son, his name was Rabbi Abraham. He was also a very big tzaddik. He grew up to be a very big Rebbe. In fact, he was the chavrusa of the Alter Rebbe. One time when he was a child, he came into the house and he was crying. And the Maggid asked him why, he was a little child, why are you crying? So it's interesting that he describes the game they were playing is what we play today, hide and go seek. Apparently it's an old game, a few hundred years old. They were playing hide and go seek, which means all the kids go hiding. Somebody has to find them. The kid who was supposed to find them played a trick on them, and he just left one back home. Oh. And they're all in their hiding places, who knows how long, waiting for him to search for them, and he never came. So they all felt a little bit, they felt humiliated. What did he do to us? He was sitting there like foolish kids and waiting for him to find us. So Zichimagi started crying. Why was he crying? He says the Eibishter Hashem has the same complaint to us. I'm hiding from you. But the reason why I'm hiding is I want you to search for me. Instead of going to search for me, you figure, okay, he's hiding, you go eat lunch, and that's it. So that's what the Mashal is saying here. That it's not that Hashem is upset. Like, I left. Why are you running after me? No, on the contrary, that's why he did it. He's waiting for us to run after him. And then when he sees that we don't give up, that increases his love to us 100-fold. And as a result of that, our relationship with Hashem becomes so much greater, so much deeper than it ever was before. So generally speaking, what he's giving a mashal for is the whole idea of Golus. Hashem destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. He's now hidden. We no longer have any prophets. We no longer have the kind of miracles we used to have in those days. We don't have the Beis HaMikdash. The Shekhinah is hidden. So the feeling of people is usually Hashem is angry with us. He abandoned us because we're so bad, and they're focusing on that. But really, we should be thinking differently. Hashem is hiding, and He wants us to pursue Him and search for Him and find Him. And when we pursue Him and search Him and find Him, Hashem sees that we don't give up. Then He comes out of His hiding place, and that's what makes Him come out of His hiding place. The fact that we go to search for Him, not the fact that I give up and walk away. Some people think that the fact that I cry about it, that's going to make it happen sooner. I mean, the crying shows that it's important to me, but ultimately crying and crying, I get to a place of giving up. And what really is supposed to be is this excitement that I know my Father's testing me, so I'm going to show Him that I know that I know He's watching me, and I know that what He wants to see, and I feel His presence even when He's hiding. And that comes about from the fact that we're pursuing Him until we'll finally get close. Yeah.
So when you had said, remember the kindness of our youth, was that connected to the marshal?
Right.
And then what's the connection? Remember the kindness of our youth going into the desert.
But following Hashem in the desert means that something happened, which was also in some way concealment. Before they had the miracle, like Hashem is sending us in the desert, how are we going to survive? That point was like people could start saying, what are you doing to us? We know that a lot of people complain to Moshe, we don't have water, we don't have this. So when they went into the desert, you would imagine there would have been an uproar, how are we going to live? So this is similar to the Father hiding. It's not that He told them in advance, don't worry, I'm going to make a miracle and food is going to come down. And why didn't He tell them? Same reason. He hid because He wants us to search for Him to bring out the greater love and the greater, in this case, the greater love and the greater emunah that we can trust Hashem with what's going to happen. So on a personal level, when I have a test, like something is being difficult for me to do a certain mitzvah, I have to think to myself, this is Hashem hiding. We're playing hide and go seek. He wants me to go find Him. When He sees that I'm going to find Him, He comes out of His hiding place. Like imagine a father goes and hides in a closet, and the kid is running all over the place, can't find him. And then he opens the door, I found you. What does he do? Does he sit in the closet or does he come out? He comes out, he doesn't stay there. Like the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, Chas v'shalom, somebody's not well. That's Hashem hiding. And the Alter Rebbe says, the mere fact that I recognize that it's from Hashem and He's hiding, and all He wants from me is to recognize that He's really there and He really loves me, and it's only a test, that makes the test end and the person becomes healed. It's like Hashem coming out of His hiding place, and He's no longer hidden, but it becomes more revealed. In other words, when something negative is happening, and I have bitachon, and I have trust and confidence that it'll really be good because Hashem is behind it, that in itself makes the good come out on the open. And after all that's said and done, we say to Hashem, listen, we've been playing this game for a long time. It's time to come out of your hiding place and let's end the game. We'll play Monopoly now. Yeah, love everybody.
Thank you.
So I don't understand certain things he said. I need to go ask him, but It's like, so then like really going when you have that doggy for right. We have that extra doggy soul. Why would an apple be higher than our actually got so from the first one coming from like
I didn't understand that at all. I was like,
what I don't understand is the concept of higher. Like we're supposed to not like picture it like this because
higher of what, like sparks?
yeah.
That's what I thought too. I was like, wow, it was like everything got to like amazing. Yeah, amazing. I don't want to be
I don't know.
Well, I'm obsessed with this song. It's so cute.
Actually, you know who has it? I saw it on her last year. It's like I need to get it. It's it looks very versatile as well. What is that?
Like very versatile.
Like very multi